I'm going to do a little vlog here while I'm waiting for some paint to dry, and watching it doesn't seem like the most interesting of tasks. Now you see we've got the Jimny there, and I'm sat in the car here. Now what I would like to talk to you about is, well, hobbies, or rather making sure hobbies stay hobbies and not chores. Now I've been up at the garage every single night this week to try and get this Jimny over the line, ready for the test, and it's been exhausting, and it's not one, it made us want to come and do other stuff afterwards. So really what I want to discuss is how to stop burning out on hobbies. If you feel like you're burning out on hobbies, back off. I mean, this particular car isn't necessarily a hobby at this stage. I mean, especially considering when I'm sat in the Kia now and it seems to have decided to be a bit of a temperamental mother. If we just turn it, help if I have the key. It's physically vibrating at idle. Get it up to 2000 RPM. Doesn't sound right, but it stops vibrating. And when I pulled up at the garage earlier, it just cut out. So I do think there's maybe something wrong. I'm suspecting something to do with the clutch or the gearbox, because when you're driving along, it's difficult to find gears. I mean, it's sat here, so selecting OK now, but I think there's maybe something clutchy the matter, but it's physically vibrating. So that there has to pass its MOT tomorrow, and it better. I mean, it's the amount of work I've put in. It should. Anyway, back to the hobbies thing. The worst thing I could have done is said at the beginning of the winter, right, let's get a car that needs welding up, ready for the winter, and doing that on the 31st of October. It's now the 14th of November. Tomorrow's the last day of the MOT retest period. I've welded in so much metal that they've had to restart making metal in concert. It's Jimnys are rotten by nature anyway, so you might as well get a rotten one. And this one was actually quite a nice car, other than the couple of little rust patches that seem to increase once you took like various panels off. So welded those up. If I was to keep the car, I would, instead of doing MOT welding, I would possibly do restoration welding, which would be find the right panels and weld them in. But that's a decision for another year if I've still got the car. So yeah, my plan, if we'll just get back to the subject of the video, my plan was to get this up and running. Then I've got a winter car. I don't know what possessed us to get a car that needed welding, that I needed to have running quite quickly, apart from A, cost, and B, the fact that I like the idea of a project. So back to the subject again. If you set yourself deadlines, it turns your hobby into a job. If it turns your hobby into a job, it stops being fun. If it stops being fun, it's not an enjoyable pastime, which is what a hobby is. So, what you need to do, you need to not set targets. You need to say, right, I would like this done, but if it doesn't happen, I don't mind. I mean, I've got a plan. I would like to have the marina ready to take to France next year, or take on a road trip somewhere. But if that doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. I've got other cars I can take. If this one isn't dead, I could take it. If the Jimny, I could take that. Could take the Morris Minor again for its 80 millionth time on the continent. I could take the Spitfire if I was a masochist. But my point is, nothing's set in stone where hobbies are concerned. If you start making too many demands on yourself, you end up with burnout, and you just don't like your hobby anymore. It's why you shouldn't do your hobby as a job. So many people think, right, I want to be a mechanic because I like working on cars. Then they start working on cars and realise that they don't like working on their own cars anymore because it's too much like work. Not all mechanics, but a lot of mechanics. So my suggestion is, if it starts getting too much, if your project starts getting too much, stop, stand back, do something else, do another hobby. Where this one's concerned, I'm probably not going to do any more in November on this car or any other car, other than perhaps servicing the Jimny and maybe taking this to the garage if it is indeed faulty. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. So shall we see? What we'll do is we'll flip to tomorrow and see if the Jimny passes its test. It's now Saturday, the day after the MOT, and you can probably see that I've actually passed it. So yes, I think there's a power steering belt. Maybe it needs changing. So, what have I done in the last 24 hours? Well, I drove it to work after passing the test, and then I've driven it up to some previously arranged plans in Scotland. So that's just the petrol station to Tweedbank. I'm actually staying at Melrose. So after a day of decompression, do I still want to kick this car through the window? Not really. It's a quirky car. It's the sort of car you like in the same way you like classics. It's got a bit of heritage, but it's also got, you know, quirkiness, character, etc. Obviously my phone mount I need to play around with. But yeah, it did. Since I set off from the petrol station, it's done 78 miles. And no real issue. I'm touching a lot of wood here. But if you also notice, no back seats, because I've decided to run this as a van. It's very rare I have anyone that needs to sit in the back of it anyway. But yeah, so I do have some other fantastic ideas of videos to go with this car. It's because it's effectively a winter classic. Right, I have no idea where I'm going. Ooh, thanks for pulling out your... Obviously the key to this car is, will it be a good snow car? Well, didn't take long to find out. This is a game called Did I Buy a Good Winter Car? Now, considering I'm not on my actual drive currently, I'm actually out of the estate, which is what I wanted the winter car for, then that mission has succeeded. Considering I passed some smug cunt in an Audi trying to get up the hill unsuccessfully, I would say that's mission accomplished as well. The only thing I need to buy is something to get rid of all the snow, because my snow brush is in Kia, which is in the garage. Incidentally, it is in the garage, getting a dual mass flywheel, a new clutch and a new slave cylinder, so it was broken. Although not necessarily the worst winter driving conditions I could come across. We're probably talking about 4 to 6 inches snow here. This is a very steep hill that I would normally have to change down to second in the Morris Minor, and this car's just going up it like it was nothing, and I'm not even sure it's on winter tyres. So I would say I've perhaps chosen wisely in a winter car, so that means I can get to work in the winter. See, there's the snow plough. Enjoyed watching this little renovation series.